Today we're going to learn how to play Thunder Road Vendetta Part 5 Carnival of Chaos. This is an expansion to Thunder Road Vendetta and it's excellent. I can't wait to explain all of the little rules. Hi, I'm Kevin Baker and you're watching Shangri-La, my YouTube channel for tabletop board games, birding, and other educational videos. Please like and subscribe. This expansion was loaned to me by Michael of Roofs Done Right. So if you need a new roof or a roof repaired in Palm Beach or Martin County, please reach out to my friend Michael of Roofs Done Right. Okay, now let's get into it and explain all of the neat little rules. First of all, this isn't just a race. It is more like a demolition derby. So you've got to survive to the end in order for your chance to win, and I'll explain how that works. Okay, here we go. Play, it says 2 to 5 players, but you can actually go 6 players if you add in the final 5 motorcycles, which they say you can do, but it says not to use the big rig because that's just not allowed. Tina says no. Board that locks everything together. I think it even has magnets in it. Okay, there are killer pillars. So if you've seen the Death Race 2000 movies, in some of those scenes there are pillars that pop up and you run into the pillar and your car is total. Okay, so you definitely don't want to run into those because these can pop up in certain scenarios. There are also party favors. There's no hazards like in the standard version of the game. Instead, you put out party favors on all of the hazard spots and the specific party favor spots. And there's also 6 super weapons. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we stack those up right over here. And those are fantastic. So this starts off as a race. So you're racing to get to collect the party favors and then also racing to get to the super weapons. You really need to get one of those super weapons. Now the party favors can be played on your turn, but it does not matter which car you're moving at that point, which is different from these super weapons. Whichever car picks up the super weapon, that's the car that actually uses the super weapon. And so you'll put that super weapon like right on top where a potential chop shop expansion could be. You're allowed to mix in the other expansions and they tell you which cards to pull out that will not apply. And that wouldn't be any fair if you got a card that didn't really apply. There are also Turbo Tina's cards. She says, it's my turn now. So there will be 6 rounds, up to 6 rounds. So at the end of the first round, you'll turn over one of Turbo Tina's cards and it will tell you which of the pillars pop up. It will also say that if you're on this central spot, the spotlight, get famous or die trying, and if you're on that spot, then you get to have some scrap points, which is, these are scrap. You're trying to collect as much scrap as possible in order to win the game, but you have to be still in the game at the end with at least one operable car. If all of your cars are eliminated, then it does not matter how much scrap you have, you're out of the game. But I like to think of it not scrap as a noun, I like to think of it as scrap as a verb. So basically, it's a fight. It is a fierce fight. So you're going into this demolition derby and you get scrap points for really doing damage. So you can get 2 points of scrap for doing damage to another person's vehicle on your turn. and you get that damage regardless of how they got that damage. So if you cause them to get damage, then, or if they get damage because the board damages them, you still get the 2 points. If you eliminate their vehicle completely, then you get 3 points of scrap, or 3 points for scrapping it really well. Okay, you can play one of these standard colors, blue, white, orange, or green. You can play with the final 5 motorcycles. You're not allowed to play with the big rig. Tina said no, specifically in the rules. Okay, now in the beginning of the game, when you're on the road tiles, you're not allowed to shoot at each other. So if you're on one of these tiles, the road tiles, then you can't shoot at each other. Once you get into the arena, it's a free-for-all, and you can just start shooting each other. And you should, because that's how you win this game, by doing damage to other vehicles and getting awarded scrap for doing that damage. And all of these party favors are really good, and they can help you do damage to other vehicles. In the setup, you put out 5 Turbo Tina cards, because that's how you will track the total of 6 potential rounds. So after the first round, then you'll flip over Turbo Tina, and then Turbo Tina has her turn, and then you'll go back to another round where you will roll the dice and send your cars chasing after each other and shooting each other. You can choose any of the road tiles from any of the expansions or the base game in order to do the setup. Some of them have more hazard spots, so you'll put out more party favors than on some other boards. Each person gets a Witness Me card in their own color. So blue gets a blue Witness Me card, white gets a white one, purple gets a purple one. And the Witness Me card says, play at the start of your turn. Each time you shoot or slam, regardless of the result, gain 1 scrap. This is in addition to any scrap you would normally gain. At the end of your turn, return this card to the box. So that is before you roll your dice, I'm assuming, then you would play this card, and you're going to do as much carnage as you can on that turn in order to rack up some really good scrap. Now, scrap, if you do damage another vehicle that is not yours, and you also eliminate it, then you would get 2 scrap for doing the damage and another 3 scrap for eliminating it. So it does stack up that way. In starting the game, you're going to start one of your vehicles on each of the different road tiles. So you can't do 2 of your own or 3 of your own vehicles onto the same road tile. You have to do 1 on each of the road tiles for starting. And when you do, you're going to come forward, and then it shows you which spaces you can use to enter the arena. So you cannot shoot until you get into the arena. And if you are in the arena, you are allowed to shoot vehicles that are on the road tiles. If you're on the edge and if they're within range, that's a valid shot. That's their fault for not getting in the race. Now, when you're driving in the arena, like in the standard game, you may move your car to any of the 3 spaces in the forward arc. So for this large blue vehicle, you could move to here, here, or here as the first move of a multi-movement turn. So you could then, with each spot, you're going to point the back end of the car at the spot that the large vehicle was previously in. So if it moves to here, it's going to move this way. Then the back end will be right there. Okay, when a car is forced to move, so basically say it gets slammed, you don't change the direction. So if it's slammed from here to here, then it would still be facing that direction. Now, if a car was going to slam on top of this car, say the white vehicle was going to slam this one, you turn the vehicle being slammed in the direction that the vehicle doing the slamming was going, and then resolve the slam. Now, if a vehicle becomes inoperable, you flip it over, still facing that direction. If it becomes operable again, you flip it over, and it is still facing the same direction. Now, you're not allowed to deliberately move back onto a road tile. So if you get flipped there or slammed there, then yes, that can happen. But that is not something you're allowed to intentionally do. So after you're finished on the road tile, you've got to stay in the arena. If you exit the arena this way, this area is an obstacle and your vehicle is eliminated. If blue puts a 1 on the large vehicle's control panel and stops on a super weapon space, you take the token and then you get a super weapon card and you place it directly on that vehicle. Okay, so now each vehicle can only have 1 super weapon. So if the large blue vehicle goes onto one of the other super weapon spaces, it cannot pick up a second super weapon. And you never drop the super weapon, even if you take damage or are slammed. If the car is eliminated, then you do lose the super weapon and the car. Like the super weapons, whatever causes you to stop on a space, if it has either a super weapon or in this case a party favor, because the large blue vehicle is right here on a space with a party favor, you would collect that party favor and you can use it on your turn. You can use as many party favors as you want during your turn. And if it says your car, then it refers to the vehicle, your vehicle during that assigned step. And after you use a party favor, it is removed from play. So they are pretty much one-time use. Right now, the large blue vehicle is on a killer pillar. There's pillars here, 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 and here. They are lettered so that Tina can tell you which pillars are going to be going up and down. So right now, that is a road space, but it can become an impassable space, a giant obstacle, if the pillar rises. So say the blue had their turn, and then white plays a party favor of the killer pillar. So it can deactivate one killer pillar and activate another. So if white played that, the large blue vehicle would be immediately eliminated. So it is risky to stay on one of the killer pillars. White would then get 3 scrap for killing off and eliminating the large blue vehicle. Now the spotlight space right here in the middle gets either 2 or 3 points on Turbo Tina's turn. And you're not allowed to place one of your helicopters on the spotlight place. You're not allowed to place it on any of the party favor places. You're not allowed to place it on the super weapon places. Now the helicopters do have the front firing arc, so that is unchanged. And that is how you play the choppers. On Turbo Tina's turn, you will put all of the killer pillars back down, and then only turn up the killer pillars as noted on the Turbo Tina card. And this one's Let's Keep It Close. So its action is if you shoot and hit the car of a player with more scrap, steal one, then gain scrap as normal for dealing damage. So that's a good way to catch up a little bit. If Blue was silly enough to have all three of their vehicles on the killer pillars, when it was Turbo Tina's turn, all three vehicles would be eliminated. Now, one of the triggers for the end of the game is to have one of the players be completely eliminated, and then the game would end at the end of the Turbo Tina round. So in this case, if Turbo Tina knocks out the last player or knocks out any player, then the game would end immediately. The other way the game could end is if you need to flip over a Turbo Tina card and Turbo Tina's draw pile is empty, that would mean you've gone through all 6 rounds, and then therefore the game would then trigger the end immediately. So now you would then count up how much scrap you have. Those are 1s and 5s of scrap. And you have to have at least one operable car in order to count and get a chance to win. If there's a tie, the tied player with the most operable vehicles wins. If there's still a tie, the tied player with the most super weapons win. If there's still a tie, the player with the most unused party favors wins. Now look, there's no ties in Thunder Road Vendetta. If the players are still tied, all tied players roll their movement dice and the high total wins. And keep rolling until the tie is broken. So with all tie-breaking resolved, and actively cheer for the one you want to win, and you can taunt the others. So that is how you play Thunder Road Vendetta, Carnival of Chaos. Thank you to Michael at Roofstone Wright for loaning me the game to demonstrate how to play it. Now, I like some games and I don't like other games. This is the kind of game I do like, and I would definitely buy it if I didn't have 2 different friends that already own it. So I recommend Thunder Road Vendetta. I recommend the Maximum Chrome Edition and the Carnival of Chaos Expansion. Why not? Have yourself a wonderful demolition derby and scrap with your friends. Now come on out to FlamingoCon. Check out flamingocon.org for the information on our next event. We've got conventions coming up several times a year in both Palm Beach and Broward County now. So enjoy some board gaming, have fun with your friends, and be well.